Cowboys rumors. First up, Byron Jones. Will the Cowboys pick up his 5th-year option? 4 stars on this one. It's expected per Ian Rappaport. It's going to be about $6.2 million. It's only, by the way, guaranteed for injury. Jones is set to move to cornerback, but that option is set at the safety price. So the Cowboys saving money on that end. I like this move a lot. I like Byron Jones as a corner, and if he sucks, you can cut him as long as he's not actually hurt. Next up, are there only going to be tweaks to the Cowboys offense? Well, 3 stars on this one, and maybe you're like me, you don't really love this move all that much. Stephen Jones said the Cowboys will not overhaul their offense, only tweaks and adjustments. Garrett and Linehan are coaching for their jobs this year, and well, if they don't want to overhaul their offense, it'll be their own next at the end of the year if the Cowboys fail to make the playoffs. How about some good news now? Next up is Randy Gregory going to return. 3 stars on this one. Gregory is expected to apply for reinstatement a week or 2 after the NFL draft. We have a more firm timeline on that now. And he reportedly hasn't failed a drug test since July 2016. That is very, very good news for Gregory, the former 2nd-round pick who has had a litany of off-field issues and a litany of suspensions as well. If he comes back, maybe the Cowboys get a nice rotational edge rusher early on as he makes his return. Now, I want to know from you guys, though, but do you actually want Gregory back on the Cowboys? I do. There's no downside to letting him compete for a job. If he's out of shape, if he's just not football ready, okay, that's not a big deal. You can cut him or do whatever, or just kind of stash him on your roster. But the upside is there for Gregory to maybe come close to what the Cowboys thought they were getting when they took him in round 2 of the NFL draft. Good news for Gregory. We'll see, though, of course, if the NFL does reinstate him, but the optimism seems to be coming out of the Gregory camp. We mentioned Hannah earlier in the show. Let's talk now about some tight ends, and 4 stars on this rumor as well. Witten's fine with the Cowboys drafting a tight end, says he understands it, and Witten has the unique ability to outlast all these other tight ends the Cowboys have drafted, mostly because the Cowboys have done a terrible, terrible job of drafting tight ends. Gavin Escobar, for example. But he's going to turn 36 in May, so maybe the Cowboys finally take a tight end. But will the Cowboys draft a tight end early? That is our next rumor here. And this one doesn't seem all that likely. 3 stars that they won't do it. That's the report from the Dallas Morning News. And it makes some sense. The Cowboys haven't shown much interest in a tight end early. They've got needs at offensive guard, at receiver now, at linebacker, safety. Tight end seems to be a lesser need for that. 3 stars on this one. They met some guys at the Combine, but it was not a priority in their pre-draft visits, and that often details what the Cowboys are going to do in the NFL draft. So I wonder from you guys, how big of a need is tight end for a Cowboys? Is it the #1 need? Is it kind of more of that 5-6 range where it is for me? You can get by with Witten, but in the near future, you're going to have to find your future young tight end. Maybe that tight end is already on the roster. We talk a lot about Rico Gathers, but are the Cowboys actually higher on Blake Jarwin? Well, turns out that this does seem pretty likely. 3 stars on this one, and I mean, go figure, right? Stephen Jones spoke very highly of Blake Jarwin, said he has special upside. Now, with that said, Stephen, you were fake news earlier this week because Stephen Jones said that, quote, I think 1 year as a receiver, he caught, for Jarwin, 70 or 80 balls, which is wildly inaccurate because Blake Jarwin never caught 20 in a season for Oklahoma State, and his career was just above 40. So I don't know who Stephen Jones was thinking of, but it wasn't Blake Jarwin. With that said, he's very high on Blake Jarwin, said he had special upside. And then Rico Gathers was almost the afterthought in this discussion, called him a work in progress, said he's got some good ability as a pass catcher and that they love his upside. But I don't know if the Cowboys are feeling all that confident about Rico Gathers. And I had a 5th or 6th round grade on Blake Jarwin, but I don't know if he's the future tight end there. So maybe they'll hold off for a year, but I think next year the search will begin in earnest to find a future tight end if Rico Gathers does not improve. I hope he does. But the Cowboys, I don't think, are all that confident in him. We'll get to some Earl Thomas rumors here in just a second, but first, here from our sponsor, The Guild. Let's talk now about that Earl Thomas trade possibility. I still don't think it's all that likely, but we'll keep it in the rumor category. 2 stars here. Here's your update on this one. namely that John Schneider does not expect a holdout from Earl Thomas, but those rumors, folks, will not stop given what Earl Thomas has said and his obvious and vocal desire to get a new contract. But because there's no holdout plan for Earl Thomas, and at least from Schneider's perspective, that's not going to cause Seattle to kind of push forward on a trade. So it's 2 stars at most. I don't think it's going to go down, but maybe in the future we'll see him via free agency. So I want to know from you guys, what would you trade for Earl Thomas? I give him pick number 50, but I'm not getting my first-round pick or second and a third, for example. It's just too valuable for a guy that you're going to have to pay big, big money to. All right, next up, the draft just around the corner. Is the Cowboys interested in Leighton Vander Esch a smokescreen? I'm giving this one just 1 star. Comes from Fansided. I get the mindset behind it because the argument was that, oh, he doesn't do well taking on blockers. He's not a true Mike right now. And I actually agree with that very much. I know a lot of the YouTube guys who don't like Vander Esch that much would agree with me. But he's a freak athlete. I think he's the guy that the Cowboys like. He is the type of player the Cowboys have interest in. But the argument makes some sense there. But it's not a smokescreen, that's why, and the Cowboys want to draft, that's why it's only the 1 star. I'm not quite going to give it the fake news there. And one more rumor here that we'll discuss around the NFL draft. How about Calvin Ridley to the Cowboys? Maybe you saw it on Instagram, but Calvin Ridley yesterday was working out in Cowboys shorts. Now, we're not going to panic about this one. Nobody panic right now because I think he's got a lot of NFL gear from a whole bunch of visits that he took this offseason, or this pre-draft process, I should say. That said, though, he is a firm option in round 1 for the Cowboys. If he's on the board, I would not be surprised if Dallas took Ridley in round 1 at number 19 overall. He'd be a very Dak-friendly wide receiver.